Right then, thanks for joining us all. We're ready to start now properly, so I've got something very special in here today. The sort of regular viewers will know what's in here. I've got Drax back, which is a female barn owl which was found near Drax power station, and she was found in bad weather. She's a young bird, this year's bird. She was very fluffy when we last saw her, and now we tried actually releasing her, but we had to bring her back into rehab because she had a lot of respiratory problems. But we've got her in here. I'll just show you a little bit of a backstory before I get her out, because I want to keep the handling to a minimum with the owl. Right, so hi everyone. So we've got a new owl brought to us here by Jean again, and this one's a stunning female. And she's come all the way from Drax power station. So you can see here for the UK, she's a really quite dark female, a really beautiful bird. Now she was found on the floor next to a derelict farmstead that's all boarded up. We can't go in there and replace her back into the nest, but she's also really quite thin. You can see here on the breastbone, she's really skinny. Right, I'm going to head off and pop her in the nest box. But just a beautiful owl. Right, so I'd like to thank Steve Jester for 200 stars on Facebook, and I'm going to show you this barn owl in a minute. So this is me popping her in at the beginning, where we thought she would just settle into this new habitat fine. But there was problems along the way. She actually had respiratory problems. We knew she was thin when she came in, so we knew it wasn't going to be an easy path with this owl, but we always try the obvious thing first, just trying to get her back into the wild and supplementary feeding her. But it wasn't to be that first time, and she's been back in rehab with Jean. She's been on 2 different sets of antibiotics. The second set worked, the first set didn't work enough. She's been wormed, and she's a completely different owl now, which is absolutely great. So I'll just show you her. She's a female barn owl, and she's quite a dark barn owl in colour. I'll bring her to you, Will, and then people can see her nice and close. So this is her, absolutely stunning owl. I've washed her face this morning, so her feathers aren't quite perfect, but we can see she's a female. When we look under her wing here, we've got all of these little speckle marks, and in the UK here I would describe her as quite a dark female, but she's a beautiful owl. And barn owls are quite often really good owls to handle. They're quite calm, they don't put up too much of a fight if you hold them properly, and holding them properly means we do this. We get hold of these talons and hold of the wings, so she's not flying. But while we've got her here, I can sort of demonstrate a little bit how special these owls are. When you put these talons together like this, you can see how they catch their vole prey. These feet fit perfectly together for hunting, and you know, it's quite something when you get caught by these in your hand, but you can see how they fit together. So she doesn't end up catching herself when she's hunting. She dives into the grass by sight. No, by hearing. It's not sight at all. So she uses a sense of hearing, and you can actually see her ears. It's harder to show, but behind her facial disc we have ears. Behind her, she might not let me show you her ears, but behind the facial disc she has 2 ears that are actually, no, she's not going to let me show her ears, she's shy. But behind this facial disc, oh, that was a peck. Yeah, just in here you can just about see. If I get in here, there we go. No, I can't get around enough. Oh, yeah. But just underneath here. It's hard when you're doing it on camera to back to front, but she has her ears actually set one higher than the other, which helps her locate the prey. and they do this in complete darkness, but she's absolutely stunning owl. Show the wings. Alright, I'm going to pop her back in a box just for now. I don't want to overhandle her. I mean, she's very calm and easy to deal with, and that's the important bit, is knowing how to handle this wildlife. You get the wings and you get the feet, and literally in one handful you've got the owl. But she's a beautiful owl, very calm. So I'm just going to pop her back in the box, and we don't want to sort of stress her. And then we'll show you sort of what happened last time when we tried releasing her. So this is the barn owl tower in the garden.
So this is Drax. I've just brought her down from...
Things weren't going to plan. She lost a lot of weight while she was in there. She was quite thin to start off with. She was eating a full dose of food every day, eating 3 chicks a day, but she had actually got this respiratory problem, which means she just wasn't gaining any weight and flourishing. But we have to try the obvious thing first and trying to get her back in the wild. So then she's come back to us, obviously, so that was in the barn owl tower just near the workshop. Back to us, and then back to Rydale rehabilitation for antibiotics, 2 different sets, and she's been there for, I think it's probably 2.5 weeks or nearly 3 weeks, getting better, recuperating, putting weight on, and today's going to be another exciting day. We're going to pop her back into the barn owl tower on camera, so she's going to be closed into the nest box area, which is a really large nest box, so she can flap her wings. She's not going to enjoy being in there. She might try and clamber out and things, but all this is quite natural. We just have to hold her in for a day. It's absolutely beautiful weather out there at the moment, but tomorrow it's going to pour down with rain. So this weekend we're going to release her out into the wild, and then just really cross our fingers that she stays with us, like a lot of the owls have done, so we can get them through that first winter, and then they can branch out into the further countryside if they wish. So this stage just now is an easy stage, just getting her into the barn owl tower. The next stage is a little bit more tricky. I often like to do the opposite of a lot of people, which is they'll get an owl to this stage and then release it into the wild. I like to get them out into the wild while they're still quite vulnerable, fluffy, not being able to fly very well, because then they have a very natural fledging process. So she could come out of that barn owl tower and just literally fly 3 or 4 kilometres and not find a way back here. And that's what I wanted to do, is to actually make her feel this way is home. She's going to need support feeding. She's not going to be released and just learn how to hunt within a couple of nights. This is going to take a while, so we've got to hope that she either finds the feeding points or stays in the barn owl tower for feeding. And obviously we've got other owls here, so it's always sort of tense moment when we're releasing wildlife. Some people ask me why I interfere with wildlife, and it's pretty simple. We don't live in a natural environment anymore. Humans have done a lot of damage to habitat for one reason or another, and we have to do what we can to help these wild animals and make a difference. So I think I'll take some questions now, if anyone has any questions.
So we do have a few questions. So we have from Yipped on YouTube asks, what kind of treatments did she need to start healing?
So she had 2 lots of antibiotics, both of which I probably can't pronounce, but I'm the release stage of the project, and that was done with Jean at Rydale Rehabilitation, and she took it to the vets. We had the first lot of antibiotics which didn't work, and then she gave it a more powerful set of antibiotics which did work, and then she's been wormed as well, just for good measure, and then just plenty of food and rest, and she's been in like an aviary, which is somewhere really quiet for her, and she's come back really well, so we're really happy.
So we've had a few donations on Facebook and YouTube. So we just have to thank Steph Robinson for 200 stars on Facebook, Rigoberto Brightman for some donation on YouTube. We have Pat Lawson has donated 50 stars on Facebook, Charlotte has donated on YouTube. Barbara Ross has donated 490 stars on Facebook, and Diane Edwards has also donated 100 stars.
Well, that's absolutely brilliant. Thanks for all your support. You know, a lot of what we do is done to support wildlife and bring you these fabulous live streams and images and share it across the world. So anything helps, really. It's much appreciated.
So Rachel Steppig on YouTube asks, how old is Drax now?
Oh God, that's a tricky question. How old was Drax a few weeks ago? She was about 7 weeks.
8 or 9, I think.
Yeah, so she's about 11 weeks now. I would have to actually check on my diary, but I think she's been with Jean about getting on to 3 weeks. Some of our followers will know, and some of our mods will probably answer it quicker than I can, but yeah, she'll be about 11 to 12 weeks now. So she's, you know, full size. This is how big the barn owls get, and, you know, she's ready to be out.
So May on YouTube asks, is she now off antibiotics?
She is, yeah. Yeah, so we have to finish the course of antibiotics, and that's administered through the food, so there's no injections or anything, no handling, so it's just through the food. So
Carol Williams' question was, how do you administer the care and medicine? And you've answered that there, it's through the food.
Yeah, it's through the food, yeah.
So Sue Ringle on YouTube asks, will Drax be put into the same nest box next to Howard? And are you hoping that they will mate in the future?
I mean, that would just be a dream. They've both got a ring on their left leg. A lot of the owls here have a ring on the right leg, and people, you know, often ask me which owl's which, and a lot of the time I can tell which owl's which. But last winter we had 10 barn owls visiting the garden. The resident owls, plus their youngsters, and then plus some that had helped out last year. We had last year a lot of second broods which were late, which ended up in trouble. This year we've ended up with barn owls breeding really late, and those chicks have got into trouble. There just wasn't enough voles around in the early section of the year.
So Princess Celestia asks, where did she come from and why is she there?
So she came from near Drax Power Station, and this is a dilapidated farm that's all fenced off, so there's no access into this farm, and she made it over into someone's garden, and the weather was you know, really wet. October was one of our wettest Octobers ever. So she simply would have died if she was left. Once barn owl chicks get onto the floor, for some reason, barn owls are really not very helpful. The parents, if there's another chick, say, in a nest box, they'll just keep feeding the one in the nest box, and the chick on the floor quite often is in some sort of serious trouble because they don't generally tend to feed the ones on the floor.
So Hughes on YouTube is asking, will you use the same release strategy, and is there a higher risk she will fly off?
Yes and yes. So yes, I'm going to use the same release strategy. She'll be in there. I'll just see, I mean, you can all watch on YouTube tonight. She'll be in that nest tonight. If she's bouncing around a lot in there, she will be probably going out tomorrow evening if the weather's dry. And if she's more content in there, we might just keep her a little bit longer. But there is always a risk in what we do that she simply flies. But if she was released somewhere else where we weren't there and the cameras, we didn't have all the cameras watching, she could simply just fly and perish. And you know, it's important we try and get this next stage correct. This is the most tricky bit, getting that release stage right.
So just another question about some of our other owls. Do you think Gylfie will be able to find a new mate now that Ollie is around, or will she leave the area?
Of course she'll find a new mate. She's gorgeous, isn't she? I mean, yeah, you know, owls, they are, you know, loyal to their partner, but if their mate dies, then they will find a new mate, and that'll start happening sort of around February time. But there's nothing to say, you know, any of the other owls here can't pair up. We will sorely miss Barney because he was, you know, the people have watched him raising the chicks over this year. He was like a super owl. He was great for us to film and work with, but he was also a brilliant carer for the chicks. Right, Gylfie had with the second brood, she got halfway through and she was just like, I've had enough of chicks this year. Whereas Barney kept that, you know, bond with them and kept feeding them. Yeah, very special owl, but we're fingers crossed we get another owl a little bit like Barney.
So that's great. So this is a really good question, actually. What time will Drax be going into the Barn Owl Tower?
Yeah, so Drax is going to go into the Barn Owl Tower very shortly. I don't know what time it is.
It's about 20 past now.
It's 20 past, so in the next 10 or 15 minutes, once I've finished this, we're literally going to head out. I'm going to put Drax in a bag, and we're going to head out and put her on the Barn Owl stream on YouTube. Is it going to be on Facebook as well?
It will be, yes.
Yeah, on Facebook. So you'll see me going into the Barn Owl Tower and popping her in there, and you can watch her settle in, put some food in there with her, and then we just watch her really closely over the next 24 hours. It's absolutely gorgeous day out there today, but tomorrow it's just going to rain all day, so I don't want her out on the first day in the rain. Right, so thank you for joining me, thank you for watching, and thank you all for your support. And tune in to the Barn Owl YouTube, Facebook, and we'll pop Drax into the nest box soon.
And we will leave links in the description so you can follow as well.